Welcome to the fourth and final session of our Advent Day of Contemplation, in which we've been contemplating the Advent story and events around it. This evening, I'm going to address the issue of Herod, as we read in Matthew. An angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said, "take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you. For Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." The German mystic Angelus Silesius commented on this, saying, "Virgin, be on your guard. Once you become a mother, the adversary seeks straight away your child to smother." The adversary, as always, is the ego. As soon as we become aware of the birth of the Christ child within our virgin soul, then the ego immediately wants to kill it. The ego wants to rule. The ego personified here as Herod, once he'd learned from the Magi about the birth of Jesus, he determined that he should be killed. And that's what happens inside us. The ego doesn't want another sovereign ruling over us. We read in the book of Revelation, chapter 12. Then the dragon stood before the woman who was about to bear a child, so that he might devour her child as soon as it was born. And she gave birth to a son, a male child, who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was snatched away and taken to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God. The dragon, the ego, ready to devour the child. The child that would rule all the nations, to rule the mind, to rule all of our inclinations, so that we should be one with Christ, acting in the will of God through Christ instead of through the will of our ego. but the child is protected. Snatched away and taken to God, as we read in Revelation. And the woman, the virgin soul, our virgin soul, our Mary, flees into the wilderness on the pathless path, the wayless way, where she has a place prepared by God. The ego, the Satan, is devious and comes to us in various guises throughout our Christian journey. Even when Jesus was an adult, the son of Herod the Great, called Herod Antipas, wanted to kill Jesus. From Luke 13. At that time, some Pharisees came to Jesus and said to him, "Leave this place and go somewhere else. Herod wants to kill you." He replied, "Go tell that fox, I will keep on driving out demons and healing people today and tomorrow, and on the third day I will reach my goal." Herod the ego, the fox, the wily fox, still trying to get at the Christ within us. Even just before the crucifixion, Herod Antipas saw Jesus and demanded that he should perform some kind of miracle or give a sign to prove himself, which Jesus didn't do, wouldn't do. And Herod was reduced to name calling and mockery and sent him back to Pilate. So Joseph and Mary took Jesus into Egypt, which would have been via Gaza. In the literal sense, Egypt at that time was a place of safety with quite a large Jewish population. But of course, there's a spiritual sense here. When we read in the Gospel of Thomas, Yeshua said, "Blessed are you when they hate you and persecute you." There is a place where you are not persecuted that they will never find. We find this place by turning inwards in contemplative prayer. We reach that place within, that place at the apex of our soul, which rests in God. Just as Christ rests in God, is God. We can turn to that place as a place of great safety, total safety. It's beyond the ego, so far beyond the ego that it can't be found. But then, like Mary and Joseph with their child, their Christ child, we return, we come back from that state of contemplation just as they came back from Egypt, still with some sense of danger, but able to avoid it. I'll share text. This is written by Edward Pusey, who was an Anglican clergyman who was a leading figure in the Anglo-Catholic movement in Oxford. And it speaks of the ascent into contemplation and the return. Let me not seek out of thee what I can only find in thee, peace and rest and joy and bliss, which abide only in thy abiding joy. Lift up my soul above the weary round of harassing thoughts to thy eternal presence. Lift up my soul to the pure, bright, clear, serene, radiant atmosphere of thy presence, that there I may breathe freely, there repose in thy love, there be at rest from myself and from all things that weary me, and thence return, arrayed in thy peace, to do and bear what shall please thee. The whole point of contemplative prayer, to rising up to the eternal presence, is that we should come back into the world, to return arrayed in thy peace, to do and bear what shall please thee, to do the will of God, not the will of our ego, which has been overcome, but still attempts to find a way through. I'll read that again before we have a time of silence. Let me not seek out of thee what I can only find in thee, peace and rest and joy and bliss, which abide only in thy abiding joy. Lift up my soul above the weary round of harassing thoughts to thy eternal presence. Lift up my soul to the pure, bright, clear, serene, radiant atmosphere of thy presence, that there I may breathe freely, there repose in thy love, there be at rest from myself and from all things that weary me, and thence return, arrayed in thy peace, to do and bear what shall please thee. So as we breathe freely, we can turn inwards to that place of the eternal presence, which we know is always there. The child has been snatched away and taken to God and to his throne. Through that we can join them in joy and bliss and peace. Lord, may we do and bear what shall please thee. Amen.